Hi guys, it's Ollie here, and in this video I'm going to take you through a 20-minute stretch routine that you can do at home with minimal equipment. So if you want to sort out your posture, do something about your mobility, or just be more active and get stronger this lockdown, you are in the right place. Okay, so I'm Ollie. I help people to be more mobile, get stronger, and stand up taller. And in this video series, we're going through our lockdown Pilates Quick Fix. So I've decided to give you a different workout each day of this second wave of lockdown. And today we are on day 3. So if you joined me in the last video, we were doing a bit of ab work. And today's video is going to be focused on stretching. So just a quick medical disclaimer, it's always best to check with your doctor before changing your level of physical activity. And if you're in doubt about any of these movements, just stop. You know your body better than any video does or any instructor. So reposition yourself. If something doesn't feel right, just stop, take a pause, and then go back into it, but making sure that you go for a mild discomfort, not pain, when we're stretching. Yes, top tip there. Okay, cool. So we're going to go through the run through of today's session. This is on the whiteboard, but I'm going to post it in the description box, so have a look at that if you want to see what we're doing today. We're going to start off in a seated position, doing some mobility and dynamic stretches. So we're going to do that. That's going to be about half the session. And then once we've worked through from the neck, the shoulders, we're going to do some stretches, and mainly into the upper body, then a little bit into the lower body, before finally coming down onto the floor, facing up in what is called a supine position, which is super. We're going to be stretching into the hamstrings and other parts of the body, and we're going to finish up the last 5 minutes, 3 minutes in a kneeling position, working into the front of the hip. Cool, so that's a full bonanza for you of stretching exercises. As you can see, I'm kitted out. I'd advise you do this workout with me when you're warm. So if you're not warm, you know, go up and down the stairs a couple of times. If you've got stairs, I'm just going to pop that down there so I can use it. So if you see me looking over there, that's what I'm looking at. Cool. Okay, so let's get down to the stretch routine for today. So you want to wear some warm clothing. As you can see, I'm wearing my hat. In fact, it's not my hat, it's my girlfriend's hat, but hey, London Irish represent. You'll want to grab yourself a band as well as warm clothing. And if you don't have a band, you can just use a belt. So for example, just a regular belt. If the belt isn't long enough, grab a second belt and attach them together, which you can do quite easily, and that'll give you a bit of extra length. If you do have an elastic band, then grab that. You'll also want to grab yourself a cushion, and if you have one, a yoga block. But if you don't have a yoga block, because not everyone does, then you can just use a cushion, and we're probably going to fold the cushion over so it becomes a bit more rugged. So don't use your best cushion, use a cushion that you don't mind folding. Cool, all right, let's get down to business then. So we're going to start off in a seated position. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is either sit on your block or sit on your cushion. So if you're using the cushion, I suggest folding it over, come into a position that's comfortable for you. So for example, here I am sitting down like so with my legs crossed. If that doesn't feel comfortable, then just have your legs flat in front of you like so. You might find that's a bit better. So in terms of our posture, we want to sit up nice and tall, because our focus of today's session is to really be aware of our posture. One of the Pilates principles is this idea of concentration, and we're concentrating now on how we're holding the body. So wherever your posture is, with the legs on the floor or crossed over, you can take your hands onto the thighs or down by the side and just do a little bit of a rocking forwards and backwards. So exploring the movement a little bit here, and then we'll come into this central position. Okay, with the hands, we're going to put 2 fingers on the chin. We're going to poke forwards and backwards. I'll demonstrate like this so you can see from the side. Pushing forwards, pushing backwards. We'll do that a couple of times so you can feel you're pushing into your fingers. Take the hand on the back of the head and you can kind of push forward, pull back, push forward, pull back. After you've done that a couple of times, we'll hold in position, and you want to feel now that your neck is nice and long, almost a stretching sensation down the back of the neck. We've got a little bit of pressure in the abdomen, and our spine has this length all the way down from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Cool. Okay, so now you're aware of your posture a little bit now. We're going to focus on our breathing. So for this session, if you can, we'll breathe in and out through the nose, but if that doesn't feel alright for you, then you can breathe out through the mouth. That's okay too. We're going to take the hands either side of the body, and then one hand is just going to come onto the abdomen. Inhaling, exhaling through the mouth to start off, that's cool. And see if you can exhale through the nose. So we're thinking long breaths, but breaths that are smooth. So it's not about coming up into the shoulders, more it's about smooth breath. Okay. Last breath here, thinking about filling into the belly rather than the top of the chest or into the shoulders. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to come into our first sequence. The reason why we're on the cushion or the block is just so the hips are a little bit higher, especially if you've got tight hamstrings like me. It could be a bit of an issue sitting here without the cushion, so I really advise being on a raised surface. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just carry on with those neck movements. So we did that forward backwards movement, and now we're just going to do a bit of rotation, so one way and the other. Hands by the sides, and we'll do this 5 times on each side. Keeping your breathing nice and fluid as we go from one side to the other. Last couple on each side, so we'll do one more on each here. And then coming back to the center. Okay, now ear's going to come towards the shoulder with the hands down by the side. So over to one side, then over to the other. Nice, you can smile as well. Hopefully just exploring that movement, you'll notice that one side may be a little bit tighter than the other. I can feel that my left side is feeling it a little bit more than the right. Cool. And then we come back into the center. Nice. So after our neck, we're going to come into the shoulders. So hands on the shoulders, just circling round. Go for 3, 2, 1, and then changing direction. Again, just keeping your breath nice and smooth, continuous, and then we can release off. Good. Okay, so now we're going to do a little body rock, I've called it. Hands on are in the rib cage. We're going to move the ribs over to one side, back to the center, over to the other side. You can do that a couple of times. If your feet are in this flat position, you may just want to take your legs a little bit wider, one side to the other. Okay, now from here, rocking forwards and backwards again. And now that we've got the idea of forwards, backwards, side to side, we're going to go out to the side, forwards, over to the other side, and then back. So the idea here is you're not lifting your, what are called your sit bones, these little bony prominences that will be on your cushion or on your block. At the moment, you're trying to keep that on the floor, so you're not lifting up. Okay, and then we go over to the other side. So a little bit of mobilization into that low back area. Just getting a little bit of movement. Almost like a hula hoop if you're not very good at hula hooping, as I'm not very good at that, so I don't really know. Probably that's the reason I'm not very good at hula hooping, is because of doing hula hooping like this. Okay, anyway. Moving on, we're going to go for a reach up and twist. So I've called it this. We're going to start off a little sequence now in time with the breath. We'll interlace the fingers to begin. We'll take a breath in. As we exhale, we're going to reach up. And then as we inhale again, arms are going to come down. And now as we exhale, we're going to reach the arm up and come across the body. We inhale to come back down. Exhaling, we're going to reach the arm across. Inhale, we'll come back down with the arm, and now this arm is going to reach up, and then we're going to come across the body. So a little bit of a twist here, and then we're going to reach back up again. Both arms this time can reach up, and then as we exhale, we'll go over to the other side. Inhale, we'll reach both arms up again, and now pick an arm, we're going to bend it, and holding on to the triceps. Holding onto the elbow, and you should feel a stretch in the tricep. If you can't quite get onto the elbow, holding onto the wrist is okay. And then we'll release, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Cool. So little light stretches just to start off with, and now we'll do a second round. This time we're going to hold some of the movements. So I want you to take the hands, interlacing them again. We'll push away. We can reach up. Hold here, inhaling, exhaling. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Think about being nice and tall, length through the spine. We can release the arms down, and now we'll go over to one side. This time we're going to hold. So you should feel that stretch down the side of the torso. Again, think about those sit bones coming down on the floor on that side that wants to lift up. One more breath. And then we'll come back up. Okay, other side. Inhaling. Big reach up, and then we go over to the other side. Exhaling. Nice. One more breath. And then we'll release off. Okay, so backs of the arms, the triceps. So we'll reach one arm up, bending the elbow, holding onto the elbow with the opposite hand. And this time we're going to do a little bit of a bend over to the other side. So stretching down the side of the torso as well as the back of the arm. One more breath here. And then we'll release off. Cool, same thing on the other side. So bending extending the elbow and then bending. And then coming over to the other side. Nice. Inhaling, exhaling, trying here to keep your torso upright rather than just collapsing forward. And come back to the center, and again we'll release off. Okay. So now we're going to change position with the legs. You still want to be up on top of your cushion or up on top of your block. You're going to bring one leg in front of you, and you're going to fold the legs like so. So the idea is the shin is in line with your mat, and the other leg can be out to the side. We're using the cushion there for a little bit of support, and we're just going to lengthen first, and we're going to fold forward over this thigh. And then we'll do that a couple of times, so just coming forward, exhaling, and we can inhale to build back up. So you want to feel as you come forward that you're not just collapsing through the chest, more it's about pivoting from the hip. And we'll do one more of those, and then we're just going to hold it there. Nice. So you should feel that on the side where the leg, the shin is pointing towards the camera for me. So the side where the shin is pointing towards the long end of your mat. If you've got a mat, if you're not using a mat, if you're just using a rug or something, the long end of your rug. Cool, and we'll come back up there. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So taking the leg across, and you know, if it's not, you haven't quite got the mobility, just find a position that's comfortable for you. If you need to extend your legs a little bit more, just make sure you're not putting too much pressure on the knees. That's why it's nice to have the cushion there, because it can give you a little bit of support. So lift up nice and tall, take a breath in. As we exhale, we'll come forward, and we'll hold. Nice. Good. And in fact, I forgot we're going in and out of it first, so we find the stretch. So we'll do that a couple of times, go for around 5 of these. So pivoting from the hip, coming forward, and then releasing off, and then coming forward again, releasing off, tall through the torso, try not to just collapse down through the chest, and the focus is really feeling it on the outer hip, on the leg that is parallel to your mat. Nice, so do one more of those, exhaling, coming forward, inhaling, coming back, and this last one we're just going to hold. Nice. So notice where you feel that stretch. What's happening with this other hip? Is it starting to roll up, or can we keep it pouring or pulling rather down towards the floor? Inhale, exhale, hold for just a little bit longer before we change position again. And then releasing off. Okay, so splitting your legs, they're now going to be in front of you. Hands are going to be behind you, and we're just going to come into extension of the thoracic area, so the chest lifting up to the sky. Arms can be behind you. In fact, I'll change position so you can see me a little bit better. Arms are behind you, bending the elbows, lift the chest. With the head, we can either look slightly forward, or if it feels okay with the neck, We can start to draw the chin back. Bend the elbows if you want to intensify the stretch. Equally, if it feels quite sharp on the wrist, if it feels like it's too much, then you can take the arms wider to give yourself more space. You can point the fingers out to the side to make it easier for the wrists. If you want more of a challenge, the fingers can point directly behind you, which I can't quite do because I haven't got that much flexibility, but see where you are in your own body. Okay, so we'll release off, and now we're going to come down onto the floor. So just to come into our last half of the session today, we're going to come down onto the floor. So here you'll need your band, or if you've got your belt set up, then we're going to come into a little bit of release for the back of the leg. So these are the hamstrings, that group of muscles that sits on the back of the thigh. So you're going to pick a side to start on, and you're going to extend the leg up to the ceiling. If you're using one of these elasticated bands, be careful because it can ping off and hit you in the head, which isn't very nice. Speaking from personal experience. So one leg is going to be anchoring onto the floor, bending the knee. Our focus is on keeping the low back in a fixed position. So you want a little bit of tension in the abdomen, and we're going to lower that leg towards the floor. Doesn't have to necessarily come all the way down, and then we reach back up. Find the point where you feel the stretch in the back of the thigh, and then release back down. So we're coming in and out of the stretch. Then think about drawing the heel away from you without the stretchy band pinging back in your face. If you're using the belt, it's the same process, but you'll probably find that you need to move your elbows a little bit as you extend the leg down towards the floor. So once we've done a few of those, we're then going to find a final stretch that we're going to hold. So holding this time at the top, pushing the heel away, and we don't want to feel it down the back of the knee. If you are feeling it down the back of the knee, ease off some of the tension and find that point where it feels in the thigh. Think about lengthening all the way from those same sits bones, this pointy, bony part underneath of the pelvis, the underside of the pelvis, and we're pushing the heel away from us. Take another breath. Exhaling. If it feels like the stretch has eased off, you can take it just a little bit further. Last 10 seconds or so here. Inhaling, exhaling again, finding that stretch. And then we'll release off. We can slowly bend the knee, and we'll do the same thing on the other side here. Okay, so finding your position, so that other leg is anchoring down into the floor. Ooh, this side is definitely tighter for me, so see what, again, the difference is for you as you're doing this first part, the dynamic stretch, coming in and out of the stretch, making sure the low back isn't rocking around, you're not picking the pelvis up off the floor. Reduce the movement down if you need to, as I'm doing on this side because I'm tighter, I'm not going as high up. Okay, so we'll do that a couple more times, still keeping your breath continuous. And next time you come up, we're going to hold the stretch. Nice. Okay, pushing the heel away from you, inhaling, exhaling. Nice. Okay, so again, we want that stretch in the back of the thigh into that group of muscles called the hamstrings. We're pushing the heel away from us to lengthen down the back of the leg. You may find you start to get that into the calf as well. If you've got that stretchy bang, don't let it ping back in your face. Nice. So check in with your body. How are we feeling? Do we need to ease up on the stretch? Do we need to take the stretch further? Once that stretch has eased off, you can take it further. So we're getting into that constant feedback whenever we're stretching. We're feeling what's going on and making those little adjustments. And you can bend the knee and release off. Okay, very nice work. So you can take the band away. Next one, we're just going to carry on stretching into the glutes. So you can take this into just a level 1 stretch where you're pushing the thigh away, holding in position. You may find that's enough of a stretch again for the outer hip. But if you want to take it a bit further, we'll lift the bottom leg up off the floor and drawing the thigh in towards us. Holding here, inhaling, exhaling. And the toes want to be drawing in towards the shin. If you're lifting the leg up, if you've got that flexibility, we can use the other hand to push the thigh that is crossed on top away from us. And being sure that we're keeping the tailbone, that's the one, down towards the floor. So we're not lifting up loads and curving the low back. More we're thinking about anchoring down through the tailbone down towards the mat. Okay, releasing the leg off there, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So either staying with level 1 where you're pushing the thigh away, might be enough of a stretch for you depending if you're not got that much flexibility, but if you've got the flexibility, if you want to take it a bit further, using the abdominals, you're going to pick up that bottom thigh and draw it in towards you. Here, if you're on that level 2 of the stretch, you either push the thigh away with the elbow, or you can use your free hand to push the thigh away. And again, we'll hold here, inhaling, exhaling, finding your stretch for yourself, noticing how this feels to the other side. Taking our last breaths. I'm breathing out through my mouth, as you'll see. But if you can get it going through the nose, really whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, cool. So we're now going to change position again. Oh, excuse me, one more stretch here. So we're actually going to do a little bit of twisting. So just go one side and then the other side with the thighs. I forgot we had one more thing to go through before we change position again. So here we're going to go bending one knee, bracing the abdomen, and this leg that's bent is going to rest on the inside of the opposite thigh. The arm is going out to the side, and then we're going to twist away from the arm that's stretched out. So knee is bent, foot onto the inside of the thigh, and then we're going to twist. If you've got a cushion, you see it handily placed underneath my head, you can take that cushion down to the floor, because that might help you with the stretch, because it effectively raises the floor a little bit so you're not having to twist as far. The important thing is to anchor this shoulder down towards the floor, and you can look towards the hand that's stretched out. Top hand, come onto the outside of the thigh, and you increase the stretch, increase the twist. Inhaling, exhaling here. Noticing where you feel the stretch in your body. And we'll take one more breath before gently releasing off. Okay, so hand can release off, bracing the abdomen, we'll come back to the center. Same thing on the other side here. So if you've got the cushion, take it over to the other side, bending the knee, foot comes into the inside of the thigh, arm stretches out, ensuring that you haven't got anything in the way, and then we're going to come across the body into that stretch. Ooh, again, see how you are on this side? Is it tighter than the other side? Is it less tight? For me, it's a bit tighter on this side. So adjust if you need to. Shoulder blade is down on the floor. Hand that's free can be gently drawing the thigh that's on top towards the floor. This increases the stretch. Inhaling, exhaling. And then we'll release off there. Okay, hand can come away and come back up to the middle position. Okay, feet are going to release off, rolling over to your side. Come up to a seated position, so just one last stretch. We'll be kneeling. Here you can take your mat, folding it over, or you can use your cushion, in fact, just so you're supporting the knee, because we're going to come into this split position, proposal position. We're going to start off with the hands on the pelvis. So here we want to come into what's called a posterior tilt. Low back, if you have one hand on your low back, we're going to slightly arch the we're going to slightly round the low back by tucking the pelvis underneath you. Once you get that feeling, that tuck, you should feel a stretch in the front part of the thigh on the knee that's down on the floor. We're going to keep that tuck and we're going to slowly bend into the front knee. Here you may need a wall, without falling over, but a wall or a chair, sofa, something to support you. You may find it's easier to hold position. Either just staying there, ensuring that you do have the stretch in the front of the thigh, into that group of muscles called the hip flexors, or if you want to take it a bit further, We'll take the arm up on the same side so that we get a stretch all the way through up to the arm, and then we're going to reach across the body, and this hand that's free can either rest on the thigh of the bent leg that's in front of you, or can rest on the wall or sofa or cushion, whatever you've got near you that you can use for support. We'll hold here, inhaling, exhaling, really trying to feel that stretch down the side of the torso. Just staying for another 10 seconds or so. Nice. Last breath here, check in with your body, seeing how this feels. And then we'll come back to that central position. Cool, so same idea on the other side. So finding your position first of all, either on the cushion or with the mat rolled up, coming into that proposal position. We're going to tip the pelvis by forwards and backwards in this kind of anterior, what's called, and posterior tilt, so that the low back arches slightly, the low back rounds, and then when we get that rounded position again, so that you lose the curve of the low back, bracing the abdomen, you should feel, even without bending into that front knee, it's a little bit of a stretch in the hip flexors, the front of the hip and the front of the thigh. Then we can bend forward into the knee without losing that position through the pelvis. Inhale, exhale here, feeling that stretch through the front of the thigh. You can take the arm up or just stay there if you want to. And then we'll come into that side stretch, supporting your hand. This one is quite nice if you go onto the inside of the thigh actually, and you can provide a little bit of resistance. So feel, if you need to adjust yourself, I've just lost the stretch, so I'm going to reset myself, bracing the abdomen, tucking the pelvis underneath, reaching up, holding position. So we're always doing that little bit of auto-correct. Ooh, that's a nice stretch. So seeing how it is for you, remember, mild discomfort, not pain, whenever we're stretching. Last breaths here. And then we'll release off. Cool. Okay, so that was our session for today. Thank you very much for joining me. It's probably been over 20 minutes because I got a little bit carried away with the stretches. It's always nice to take your time with the movements whenever we're stretching. So this was a little bit of a more low-key session where we're focusing more on posture and improving our flexibility as we're recovering from the 2 days that I've already recorded, and you did hopefully yesterday and the day before if you're following this lockdown Pilates Quick Fix special. What I wanted to say is thank you very much for joining me. Give this video a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it if you shared with anyone who would benefit from doing this sort of stuff. I'm going to try and upload one of these videos each day for the second round of lockdown. Leave a comment if you did get it to the end of this video. I'd like to hear from you. If you've got any suggestions for future videos, I'll happily hear that too. And I've been Ollie. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video, which is, I believe, going to be upper body. So we're going to do an upper body focus, full body, a little bit of a more active session, but again with minimal equipment. So join me and I'll see you there. Cool. Take care.